Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's just like jumper. He's not on second and
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's just like jumper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
Good evening and welcome for Evolution's Sim Racing this evening here at Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia, USA. This is a nightmare of a track. It is twisty, it's got long straights, it's hard to overtake, it's got lots of elevation changes and a lot of grass verges that can really upset the apple cart and the car. And this version of the track that we're using, the West course, is very little used as well, so not a lot of drivers are going to be up to standard on this version of the track. A number of people might get a bit lost here how long this track is. 4.2 kilometers, miles I believe, and 6 where have I got that written down? Sorry, bear with me. It is 4.1 miles long, 6.5 kilometers, 23 corners going clockwise, and lots of A, B, and C corners as well. So it's probably a lot more than 23, but the Americans like to number their corners A, B, and C instead of just 1, 2, and 3. Get your head around that one if you can. But difficult track to overtake. It's challenging just to keep it on the tarmac here at Virginia, and I'm going to get the feeling that we're going to see a lot of incidents and off-track excursions, and maybe one or two very towards rejoins, because it's difficult to keep your car under control once you hit the grass. That grass is like driving on ice. We're looking forward to a good one here. With me in the mic booth is Dean Biggles. Looking forward to this one, Dean?
Good evening. Yes, exactly. Just to mirror exactly what you said about the track is going to be very, very interesting. The challenges ahead of these drivers this evening for round 4, not round 3. Should be round 4, if I'm not mistaken, my friend. Are we in round 4?
One day we'll learn to count, but don't worry about it right now. But yeah, we'll get there one day. So let's just go through quickly the format that we've got for you this evening. First thing to note is that we're on qualifying at the moment, where towing is not allowed. You're not allowed to tow your teammates or give anybody a slipstream in order to give them an advantage in qualifying. We also have a penalty point system that includes docking championship points and drivers' points off drivers if they make mistakes. We've got 14x for a drive-through penalty and a 20x for a disqualification. I believe we saw a number of people get disqualified last time out, but we did not get confirmation of that. But we're going to have 30 minutes qualifying here, 16 minutes exactly, remains of that. And then we'll be heading into Heat 1 of a 20-minute race. And results of that race will determine the starting grid of the second Heat race, which will be a 30-minute race with a reverse top 15 grid. So if you are running 15, you'll get the pole position in the second race. So lots to look forward to. With these little sprint races as well, Dean, we tend to find that people are in a rush to get through. And if you've got a bad qualifying or lost some time or missed a lap and you're out of position, it can cause some incidences. These quicker drivers definitely want through in short order.
Well, you just saw a couple of drivers going off there. Actually, one of the drivers had just gone off, and on top of it, there was already a car that had gone off just a second or so before. So already catching the drivers off in this open qualifying session. Well, they don't see the other car as well, too. So even though we visually looked like that car was colliding into another, it not actually doing. No, sorry, it was doing. My apologies, not lone qualifying. Anyway, let's jump over to this championship standings currently at the moment, my friend, from the pros.
Yeah, let's have a look at these. So Aromas Zilinskas, big result for him, winning Spa 1 hour night Spa race. It was still living in Dreamland a couple of weeks ago when I was in Spa 24. That puts him on level on points with Raz Harper, who's not here today. He's sipping cocktails on a beach somewhere, he says, but they're tied on 235 points at the top of the championship, so it's very tight still here in the pros. We've got Mark Thomas following up in P3 on 227, still well within the mix. And we've got Rhys Saunders, who also does not look like he's here tonight, on 208 points. He's been the fastest man on track, Rhys, for the majority of these races, but he's needs to turn that pace into top results after numerous incidents so far this season. Not all of them his fault, but he is sometimes at the mercy of the stewards here. We've got Cowlishaw still in with a shout, but needs to get a few more top results as well. But Carl Handwerk still there, putting pressure on him a little bit, down in P6. JB Jenkins comes up in P7 for a privateer team, as well as Mark Jardine, who's been getting things back together here in the pro category and gets himself up to P8. Alex Fretwell, great result last time out, gets himself up to P9, and Philip McConaughey in P10. Mark Proctor rounds out the top, starts the next top 10. I'll get my words correct at some point. But that's Mark Proctor at P11 and Scott Kostrich in P12 for the Racing Rascals. And Joseph Sparra, first time out last week, I believe it was, on 54 points. Did very well in Spa on his debut. Shane Cotton in P14 and Gary Mitchell in P15. And Thor Tuller in P16, not being able to reach the heights that he managed back in Brands Hatch, I believe it was, where he was running high after starting front of the grid for the second feature race. Richard Flauty in P17 for Kaport Motorsport, down on 27 points there. As we move on to P18, just covert there, just on the tip of the top there, that you can see. But we've got Marcus Law in P19 to round out the pro standings, and that is your pro standings. We'll move on to the arm changes and see what we've got there. We've got Thiago Royce holding on to the lead on 285 points, and Matthew Jones jumps to P2 after a great finish in Spa. Wesley Van Rens takes P3 for Guarana Racing on 219. There's still all to play for between those three. A couple of bad races for Thiago, and things can change drastically for him. But we carry on. Stefan, who was P2 last week, has dropped all the way down to P7 after a number of struggles in the last few races. He's been looking to get things back on track. And James Bostock slowly creeping into contention there, up into P4, along with Joe Glass, who's had a couple of decent races in the last couple, but also getting involved in an incident or two. We've got Robin Truswell there in the top 6 as well as Hussain, who's been ever present this season so far, making his way up to P8. Martin Lee, the M&M Racing driver in his candy-coloured car, yellow car, gets up to P9 after some untowardness in his races. He's still managing to get decent results. Stephen Donnelly in P10, James Mookian for Alpha Racing in P11, followed by Sean Clark, Modestas in P13, and Robin Aston in P14. Chris H. Keenan for MRC comes in P15, and then we've got Stuart Briley in P16, Craig Charles in P17, and I believe that's Gareth Newton in P18, just off screen. Carrying on with those standings though, but it's Mark Thomas there in P2, doing very well. Sorry, it's Matthew Jones, I can say, who got a podium there out in Spa last time. But it's Graham Matthew in P19, carrying on the order for Racing Rascals, and Adrian Hadfield for the private IT in 20. David Clark in P21, Jack Wyborn in P22, followed by Danny Stewart in P23, and Ayrton Hadfield and Rob Colin rounding out the top 25, the only 25. Got very few races here. We've only got, 25 races. That's a little down on the usual 30-40 that we get. I imagine that's something to do with the difficulty and the difficult nature of this track. But, well, we've just got 10 minutes remaining of qualifying. I'll just quickly run through some of the penalties that people received at Spa last week. Craig Charles starts us off there. He lost 2 points in the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship for causing a collision on lap 1 in race 1. Well, there was only 1 race last week in Spa. And Rhys Saunders lost 4 Drivers', Constructors and Champions Constructors points for causing a collision on lap 9, trying to get past McConaughey. And also for a bad rejoin. He did a bad rejoin, came spearing across the track, didn't make any contact with anybody, but the stewards have decided that he's going to lose a couple of points in the Constructors and Drivers' Championships for that, even though he didn't hit anybody. Ordinarily it would have been a 2-position loss, but they've decided to just give him a slightly more lenient penalty there. We've also got Stefan Parkinson, who loses a race position from Spa because of a collision in race 1 as well. There was also a racing incident between Carl Hanwick and Paul Cowlishaw on lap 11. Both drivers have been given a little bit of a tap on the wrist there for that one, but racing incident is the outcome. That is that roundup for Spa last week. It was a fantastic race last time out at Spa. Auramas absolutely blew everybody away with a fantastic strategy that put him in a commanding position, and he'll be looking to hopefully gain a big here today. But it does not look like he's with us this evening. We've got Handwork, Thomas. Oh, there is Zelinskas in P4 at the moment. Beg your pardon, he was hiding from me. We've got Fretwell in P3 at the moment in qualifying, and Cowlishaw in P5, Kostrich in P6 for the pros. P7 is Mitchell for the pros, and McConaughey down in P8, and Spara, who's in the pro category, has not managed to set a lap time. Donnelly looking very pretty at the moment with a 2:26 in the AM category. That is a lofty position for him, given the results so far this season. Mookian as well in P2 in the AM category, doing rather well. Royce down in P9, got some work to do before the end of qualifying if he's to be in with a shout of getting a good result here today. But we have seen him make his way through crowds before, have we not, Biggles? So I'm wondering whether or not he's going to be able to do it here, though. It's a very tough track to overtake, this one.
But the Guana Racing Team, yep. Diego Rosa. Well, once again, look at that. Just so slow into the corner we're looking at the moment there with Robin Aston. You can see that little wiggle of moment there, probably looking to sled on this one and abandon it and put another hot lap in. Welcome everybody in the chat too. Chris Jones, we see that. He goes, let's go, Matt Jones. Oh, Matt
this
Jones.
track looks nuts, he says as well, and it certainly is. It is a tough track to get right, and it's almost akin to a street track race where you've got no margin for error, I feel. I've only raced here a couple of times, and that was enough for me, believe me. But there are so many corners where the slightest error can cause a big problem for you. Not least that very, very quick left-hander as you run down towards Oak Tree. It's called South Bend, turn 10, and the way the car, it just loses all its grip as you go over a crest and turn at the same time. And in some cars it's flat, in some cars you've got to brake, in some cars it's just a little lift. I believe in these ones I've seen the majority of people on this practice session braking for it, which is a strange one in a GT3, I've got to say. It was a GT3, sorry, it wasn't, it was a Mazda that I was driving, the Mazda Miata MX-5 that I was driving around here in last, and it was a nightmare in that car. So I imagine these GT3s with the power they've got are going to be tough.
Riding on
places.
board right now, Joseph, if you can see. So you can kind of talk us through driving around this track at the moment. Chris, you're asking about Matt Jones. I don't see a Matt Jones in the grid currently at the moment, my friend. So We're going for. Oh,
think
sorry, I do see
P3
Matthew
in the
Jones.
app.
I
Yeah.
see it. Yeah, it's Matthew Jones on Matt. Okay, he's up there. Yeah, you're right. Currently third in the class and ninth overall. Here
So
we
this
go.
corner that you're seeing on
Yep.
your screen at the moment, that's Oak Tree, and this is the release onto the back straight. It's going to be important to get a good run out there. It's interesting to note as well that that little pit straight on the left-hand side is not an off-track if you go through it. So if there's 5 cars wide in front of you, maybe go through there to gain yourself a little bit of position there. But going to be a good overtaking spot here, especially if you can get a good exit to Oak Tree as well. But believe it or not, you actually gain more top speed on the shorter straight down the pit entry because Hogpen, the final corner, is so much faster than Oak Tree. But this track is difficult. This is one of the hardest sectors of the course here as you come round the spiral and into the inside sector of this track. This is where it starts to get very, very sketchy. Particularly this left-hander here, I always struggled with. Even in the MX-5, it's got to be so tentative on the throttle. Make sure that you've got the car perfectly under control. And on the inside line, if you get offline here in some of these twisty sectors, the camera of the track just throws you off the course, and it can be very, very difficult to catch it again. One wheel on the grass anywhere around here spells death. So
I think Carl's actually about to improve on his time as well too to get purple sectors all over the place. Where is he on the track?
Yeah.
Crossing the line now. You can see that track map up to your top right-hand side. The black dot will represent the car we're on, and he does it. He blows it to a 25.3, so 2/10 up on Thomas's time. Mark Thomas, that is P2. Joseph, that we're just riding on board with, he actually slots himself up at a P10, so he got a good lap in. Now there's Matty Jones out there that you were looking at. Joe Glass is looking pretty quick as well too, so we'll get back to Matty. Let's have a look at Joe. And you can see the purple sector 1 there, purple sector 4. And that some of the other purple sectors are starting to come in as well too, my friend. Thick and fast. A couple more corners here as we ride on board with Joe to navigate. And then finally, finally we get a little bit of a straight. Yes, that's right. You do get a little bit of a straight. Not many of them here at this track. So you enjoy it when you get one.
it's nice to have that little break, especially around a track as difficult as this, with all the thinking that you've got to do in those twisty sectors. Get that little bit of respite on the straights there as well. But during the race, I imagine that's going to be where you're at your most vulnerable as well, with the slipstream being rather powerful in the GT3 cars. But it's difficult to get the move done, even down into turn 1. If the lead car defends the inside, the outside line does not work through turn 1. So it's going to be relatively hard to make moves here. And some of these quicker guys, we've seen this before in previous races as well, here in Evolution Sim Racing, that the quicker guys getting stuck behind the slower guys get frustrated, start sending it in places where maybe it's not best advised, and that can sometimes mean that frustrations boil over a little bit, and maybe some untowardness in the voice chat, which we tend to try and avoid. But yeah, this track, tough one, very tough one. It's going to be interesting to see how many people are going to be able to get through this without making any mistakes.
Yes. I think we're going to have a little bit of dilemma. That'll be the nature of racing at this track, and just the nature of a mixed field, of course, between the drivers. You've got a second difference, just over a second there, between Donnelly and Handwork and the top of the AM class and the top of the Pro class. Yep, you got the right one, Chris. It was my bad when I couldn't see him, because there's 25 drivers at the moment. I have it on a 4K screen, and the drivers' names are pretty tiny for me to read, so thankfully I just zoomed in a little bit on that one so I could see it. All right, so there he is. So he's currently looking to, didn't quite improve, but stays P3 in the class currently at the moment. And Scotty, Joseph Spazza? Sparra.
Sparta, I would have said.
What did we confirm Joe's surname is?
Sparra, I don't think we ever did, but Sparra is what I'm using for the moment, Sparra. So it's an interesting name. Nonetheless, it'd be interesting to know where that's from. I would guess Croatia or somewhere like that. I'm not sure though.
He's driving under a UK kind of UK Ireland flag. One that has a mixture of both. So
Yeah, but I mean, I would drive under a UK flag. My surname's Karabelas, and that's not English in the slightest, you know. But
It
you never
doesn't
know
have to
where
be where
people
you're
come
living.
from.
Just be where you want to put your flag up.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. I mean, we've got Thiago Reiser, who's got German, Austrian, and Swiss flags there as well. So, guess as good as anybody's as to which one of those countries he's actually from. I'm pretty sure he's Swiss, though. But yeah, lots of Brits representing here in the league as well. Majority Brit-Irish as well. So, imagine a fair few Northern Irish fellas in the race. But the thing I'm noticing here a lot with these Ferraris at this track is they don't seem very planted if we're watching them go around. I was watching them go around. There's a lot of tail-happy action.
You can see that
And,
at the moment. There's Reiser going straight on through.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling we're going to see a fair few off-tracks, and those rejoins are going to have to be on point for this track because it's such a narrow track. There's not a lot of scope to avoid a bad rejoin, especially if you go off in the twisties like the snake or in the spiral as well. Difficult to get back on. I'm getting the feeling that there's going to be at least one person who forgets that turn 13 is there as well and goes straight on through the cones. And believe it or not, this is the actual name of the corner. Don't sue me for saying it. It's called Bitch. So that corner there, turn 13, people will go straight on there, I
What's it
imagine,
called?
and just skip off the track. And that could be a tasty rejoin as well. If you skip all of that level of track, I imagine you're going to get the mother of all slowdowns from iRacing as well. A slowdown so big because it really cuts out 7-8 corners. It's a huge section of the track that you would cut if you went over there. It might just reset you altogether. I don't know, but yeah, there's to see if anybody does that and how that pans out. Whether the stewards will get involved with a big penalty afterwards if iRacing doesn't.
You know what I find interesting when you're doing GT cars and etc., touring cars and all that is that they had the brake lights, of course. Now the big difference, I think he'd already completed the lap here. Yes, he did. This is why Paul's just rushing off because that's the end of the qualifying session. So we'll get those the qualifying results. We'll have those actually the grid up for you in a second. But I just wanted to say real quickly, my friend, is that because you can see people's brake lights, it's a different thing, isn't it, than open wheel racing where you don't see any brake lights. You just gotta.
Yeah.
Anyway, here is
certainly
your
gives
grid.
you a little bit more time to react to cars in front and what they're doing. But we've got Carl Handwerk manages to get pole with a 25.372. Less than 2/10 behind is Mark Thomas, who's on a charge at the moment in the championship. Alex Fretwell makes up the first row of the second row. First grid spot of the second row in P3, and then Auramas Zelinskas in P4. He's been getting good starts the last few races. Stephen Donnelly in P5, followed by Scott Kostrich in P6. Great result for him. Paul Cowlishaw in P7 will be looking to make places early on, and Joe Sparra in P8 for the UK and Ireland racing team. We've got Hussein in P9 and James Mukian in P10, followed by Matthew Jones in P11 and Joe Glass in P12. Gary Mitchell in P13 and Thiago Reiser has got work to do for his championship charge in P14. Gareth Newton in P15 and Modestas Krasauskas in P16, followed by Robin Aston and Graham Matthew in P17 and 18. James Bostock, low down the order, not comfortable with this track by the looks of things, as is Philip McConaughey, who's lower than he's ever been in P20. David Clark in P21 and Chris Keenan in P22, followed by Joseph Preston in P23 and Stuart Briley in P24. I believe we've got one more man on the track, which is Martin Lee, starting at the back. I wonder if that's by choice. We'd expect him to be a little higher up, but not long to go before the start of this race as everybody's getting their toilet breaks out of the way and figuring out their positions on track. And it's worth keeping an eye on that man there in the green, I believe it is, second row in the grid. We're just waiting for one more person to pop up on the front row there. But Aramas has been rapid on the starts. He seems to have the launch control set just so in this Ferrari. But we have the lights coming on now as we prepare to go green racing at Virginia International Raceway. We have 5 lights and away we go, and it looks like it's P5 that gets the great start. That's the yellow man, Ferrari in the back, and he's already overtaken them both. Aramas gets a great start as well, but not as good as this man here. Alex Fretwell gets the lead into turn 1, and there's contact and big crash there into turn 1 from behind, and that's 3 people off the track straight away. That is Carl Handwerk and Aramas and Alex all punted off into turn 1. That is not the way we wanted that to go. We were given a warning beforehand from the stewards just to be careful into turn 1, and there's more incidents here as 2 cars sideways, backwards on the track there's big action going on as people are struggling to make their way through these yellow flag situations. There's not enough space for 5 cars wide here as people are just deciding to make their own tracks up at this stage and go wherever they please. Look at this rejoin here. Very difficult to get that right, out of control. And look, there's Thiago Reuser off track, making it very difficult. Oh, that was a close rejoin. The guy behind in the yellow Ferrari livery there, struggling to make his way through these slower cars, but that was mayhem. That was a lot going on. We'll have to see replays of that to pick our way through that, but it's Karabelas who takes the lead after all of that. Spara in P2, Handwerk in P3, who managed to get going again in short order after a poor start. That maybe let him off with a bit of a slight get out of the trouble there, but he got such a bad start there. Jumped by 2 people before turn 1, and then they both got punted into turn 1 as well. Don't think there was anything on Alex or Auramas, but they're the biggest losers here by the looks of things, and Spar and Karabelas who've made the most places. Sarakar Desler is now P1 for the AM category with Glass right behind him. He'll be pleased with that. Gained 7 positions has Glass. Bostock is up 10 as we've got another man, Joseph Preston, off the track, and he stops rightly so before he rejoins in front of people. And yeah, there's going to be a number of those situations here at this track. It's such a hard track to get right, and cold tyres just meant that people could not stop in time. Not prepared for the concertina effect, maybe, do you think, Biggles?
No, we kind of expect it's going to be a very, very difficult track. Just imagine just as everybody's going to try to align themselves on the cold tyres to get their way up and down through the roller coaster track that there is here. And yes, they'll certainly have a lot of it. So now it's kind of settled itself out. The nerves, the drivers are cooled down a little bit. They're still racing, no doubt. Here's Mark Thomas at the moment, tucked up on the back there of Scotty's car. You don't miss Scotty Kozik's camouflaged beast of the Ferrari. And I'll get back to the replay at the start of this one, my friend. Yeah, it's going to be pretty chaotic, I'd imagine. And this is kind of where it went a little bit pearl-shaped. You could see that, bang.
The blue Ferrari there. I believe that's Handwerk, Carl Handwerk maybe, who's caused a bit of a concertina effect, a bit of a domino effect there, as you see the blue car on the inside gets overtaken by P3, and then just does not break in time, punts him. He smashes into the front car, and Auramas gets collected amongst all of that as well. Got some big gainers there in the background who managed to get through the carnage unscathed. A couple of cars disappearing in the background as well, which always makes it very, very difficult to judge who's rejoining where. But lots of incidents there. Alex Fretwell and Auramas are not going to be happy with that, but they've got work to do now for the remainder of this race. As there was more action here.
Scott went around as well. Look at that. Just nowhere to go from a lot of the drivers. You can just see. Lucky for no damage that we do have. We'll get back to the live pictures now, as we have this huge battle right now as well. Let's get right on board there with Mark, and there's Mark going off track, hopefully back on. As you can just see up the road from him, there's a nice battle that's brewing here between Alex.
Very well held from Mark Thomas there, you've got to say, to get that back on track without big problems there. But on board here with Fretwell is Zelinskas. He's going to be thinking, both these guys are going to be thinking, well, we're all quicker than the guys in front of us, but they're going to get stuck. There are so many places on this track where you just cannot overtake. You're going to have to tuck in behind and worry a baby about not hitting the guy in front as they're slower through corners. The pressure on those guys ahead is going to be quite intense as well, knowing that the guy behind is quicker. Maybe racing a little bit too much in your mirrors. But look at these guys here, struggling to get past number 66, James Bostock, ahead of them. And yeah, they're going to be really difficult to judge the braking points, because this track, not a very common track, not used a whole deal even in real racing, is look how close Auramas gets to the back there. The concertina effect, very difficult to judge. If James is braking earlier than everybody else behind is expecting, then you tend to find you get very little reaction time, because already look, poking the nose where it maybe shouldn't be, but it could be tough. You've got to get past where you can though. Maybe bully James into a mistake. James, all he has to do is keep hold of his line, and if he gets punted, well, that's on the guys behind. But tricky start already for the guys in front. It's Karabelas over Spara, over Handwerk, and they are in a nice little tight fight at the moment as things stand still. But we've got some action here, side-by-side action, is going down the inside of Bostock is the 181 car of Zelinskas, and I don't think Bostock expected him to be there. And that is the nature of what happens when you give that inside line into turn 1 there. The outside line has so little grip, and so you can't carry as much speed, simple as that. He's let 3 cars through in the space of 1 corner by being offline. Maybe being a bit too nice to those guys there. If he held the inside, he would have kept them stuck behind for a little longer, but that could also ruin his race should they punt him at some stage. We've got Roycer on the back of McConaughey here, who's struggling at this track. He said beforehand he's done 0 practice. He hasn't been in the car since Spa last week, and this is not a track that tends to work very well with very little practice. It's a tough track. I mean, remember the first time I came here, I got lost so many times, so many difficult corners, so many corners that you think, oh, I can take this one flat, and actually no, you've got to brake very hard for this one, and then all of a sudden you're off mowing the grass.
Nothing wrong with that. Grass needs to be mowed. Just to do it with a $300,000 sports car. Yeah.
Why not?
Whoa, there's collision up the road there. I was just about to change the camera over to that, and that's Joe Glass going around. He's going to wait for a few cars. Lucky there's a bit of a gap. There's your mowing the grass, my friend, right there. Joe's doing it for you.
He's done the right thing there.
This is also what's happened here to James. And also further back. Oh! And that's Diego.
And that is the bitch corner.
Yep.
Being a little bit of a bitch, and fortunately for Roycer, he's maybe got some contact there going into that. It's very difficult to lose it under braking in these cars. Very rarely lock their back wheels up, but let's have a look and see, find out. This is Oak Tree, I believe we're going around here, so there's an off track for James, I think that was Bostock, so that's why he lost more position, struggling a bit after the pressure of having a couple of quicker guys behind. This is Joe Glass, sorry. And see what kind of mistake he made.
It turns out because that car, it's really very difficult, isn't it, to see that car approaching at a pretty high speed from behind. As he goes to turn in, you're right in your blind spot. It was,
it's what's known as the vortex of danger, isn't it? If the guy ahead is turning in, this is what happens to Yago Roycer. So he thinks just get on the grass on the inside, not afforded very much space for that dive by the car in front, but that was perfectly legal defensive move. He puts the car in an awkward position in the middle of the track, makes Roycer make a decision, and Roycer unfortunately made the wrong one. There wasn't enough space for the car on the inside there. It touches the grass, and like I said, the grass is deadly around here. One wheel on there just nullifies all of your braking power and sends him straight on. And now we've got on board here with Sparrow, who's looking for the lead here as we look at the shiny chrome bumper of the DeWalt Cowley Shaw car in front, and he's looking to take the lead of this race with 12 minutes to go, just under, of this short sprint 20-minute race. Then we'll follow this up with a 30-minute race, which will have at least 1 pit stop for fuel in this one. So we've also got Handwerk as well, who's rapid. He got pole, and he's trying to catch the gap here, but is going to find it difficult unless these guys start to fight a little bit. But Sparrow here in the Air 1 livery is looking racy at the moment, and this is maybe a place that he can make a move. Flashes the headlights at Sparrow in front, and he's looking to make a move here into turn 13. At the end of this back straight, and he's not going to be able to get it done. It's a tough track to overtake. If there's even, less than a second between 2 cars on track, then it's very difficult to line up for the move. Not a lot of places where you can force it. As big check up there from Zelinskas behind the number 25 car of Aston, I think that is. Is that Zelinskas or was that Donnelly? Don't know. We've got the Tunnocks Tea Cakes livery car there, getting past into the spiral. As he's just got the bigger balls there, didn't he? He had the bravery to go around the outside, brake as late as he could to get around the number 8 car of Sarakar Desler. That's Mitchell getting up into P4 in class, P5 on track. Mukian in P1 in the AMS class is in nosebleed territory. He's not been this high the entire season. Can he hang on to this? Just needs to keep his race nice and tidy as Matthew gets past McConaughey here. McConaughey's struggling without the practice at this track. It's definitely a tough track to do without any practice. First time I raced here, first practice I had here, I couldn't get a lap in for 10 laps, which is unusual.
Joseph here, personally, I'm just going to verify what his class is. So I'm not showing anything at the moment. I'll see if I can get that one addressed for Joseph personally. I'll have a look at that one in a second while you keep up.
He's one of the newcomers. He's not around in the previous races. So we have Sparrow, who was a newcomer last week time out. I think Preston is a newcomer as well. I'm not sure if he was here in Spa, but this may be his debut. So we're just to see how he can do and whether or not he shakes up the order in whichever class he comes into. But at the moment, we are unsure. He's showing red, but his pace possibly just because of the nature of the track and it being a tough one and an uncommon one. Oh, we've got some side-by-side action there with 181 going up the inside there of a car, and it looks like that was 101 is, well, it's hard to tell, hard to tell the numbers, but it's like people are not shy of making the moves in this league, for sure. Not afraid of getting some wheel-to-wheel action, as we're on board here with Aramas, who's making his way nicely back through the field. He's definitely got the pace, does Aramas, and a different livery to Spa. I believe he was in maybe he was in something similar. That is somebody off track there just ahead. Not sure who has gone off. We'll see. Find that it looks like Robin Aston has come off there, and looks like
too deep.
Look like he's going a bit wide there. He had to avoid the car in front so as not to hit the back end of them into Oak Tree here, and then he has to wait a long time to get back on track with a safe rejoin. But that gives Zilinskas, Donnelly, Thomas, Kostrich and Fretwell another position for free that they don't have to maybe fight for. Good news for them. Bad news for Aston, of course. He was doing rather well up until that stage. 8 minutes to go in this heat, and then we've got a reverse grid for a 30-minute race. Zilinskas will want to get a great deal of points here, though. Beauty is that his main rival, Harper and Rhys Saunders, are not here today. So whatever he does here today, as long as he gets good points, he's going to gain big and take charge of the championship in the pro class.
Yeah, I'm still sorting out at the moment. He's actually confirming. Ooh, here's Stephen. Ooh, that's a hard impact fence.
Worth reminding everybody in chat today and watching that there is no damage in this series. It automatically repairs you as soon as you've got the damage, but we've got some action here as this looks like Handwork has gotten past Spara in short order and is now all over the back of Cowley Short as well. But Cowley Short defending that inside line into turn 1 makes it very difficult for Handwork to get any kind of move done there as well, and that maybe left the door open a little bit for Spara to get him back, but unsure what happened between the two there for Handwork to get P2. But he's definitely looking racy now and wants to get P1 in as quickly as he can. Maybe he has got the pace to run away, considering how quick he caught these guys after being a little bit off the pace early doors.
Yep, still go ahead, my friend. Continue for a second. We're still seeing that battle at the top of the timesheets there with those 3 drivers.
Yeah, we've also had some passes back in further in the grid with Modestas and Joseph Preston swapping positions left and right as Scott Kostrich goes off track somewhere along the line. And Kostrich losing a few positions here as well. He's probably had a little bit of an off track in the background, but this is the main battle on your screens at the moment. P1, 2 and 3 all within 1 second of each other, and anybody's guess who's going to win this. Any mistake or punt could cause a problem, but we're probably going to see a minor penalty handed out to Handwork for that lap 1 collision. He went into the back of P3 at the time into turn 1 and caused a knock-on domino effect that took out the front 3 drivers and cost himself a couple of positions, allowing Cowley Shaw to take the lead. Now Cowley Shaw under pressure, and from behind we've got Fretwell and Auramas making their way back through the grid as well. As this is Alex Fretwell, you see on your screen, the 150 car in the green livery with, he's got Joe Glass behind him at the moment, who's looking racy as well, does not care a jot that this is the pro drivers in front of him. But let's have a look at this replay on your screens here. We've got Philip McConaughey going on an off-track occurrence, just goes a bit too hot into there, goes off track and manages to save it rather well, you might add, as well as he comes into
Gets contact here as well.
That is. Oh, it's a spin. Just a bit. He just gets loses the rear end, and that'll be because of the off-track excursion. You've got to remember, this is a sim. If you get a little bit of grass and dirt on your tyres, there's Cowlishaw going off-track. That hands the lead to Handwork, and Spara is right behind him. Cowlishaw feeling the pressure, goes off in the hog pen in the final corner, and that could ruin his chances of a good result here. He may even lose out to some of the guys behind. Then it remains to be seen how far behind Mukian and Mitchell and Zilinskas are, but Zilinskas being as rapid as he is, 4.5 minutes to go, could have time to catch up. He's going to catch up to Mitchell and maybe take P4, but at the moment this is the battle for our viewing pleasure. As Sean Clark in chat says, evening guys, I'm holiday watching from Spain rather than racing tonight, cheering on my teammate David Clark. So well, good luck to David Clark, and I hope you enjoy your holidays, Sean. Back to the racing. Spara.
Well, David Clark's not in the race currently at the moment, unfortunately. So that's one of the 3 retirements.
Yeah, down in P13, out of the race at the moment, along with Martin Lee and Stuart Brierley. Had enough of this one. They're all out. We've got a couple of guys in the pits. Kostrich and Reiser in the pits. I imagine they're probably not going to come out. Fast repair being available permanently. Automatically repairs your car. There's absolutely no reason to pit unless you are giving up the ghost in this race. But here we go. We've got, this is Auramas, Zelinskas, and
Can't get side by side through there, guys. Come on, no way.
Glass as well, also looking to get through past Hussein, I think that is there, as we've got some racing hotting up here as Thomas, and this is Mark Thomas, apologise on your screens, of the CRN 150 car with Alex Fretwell behind. Alex Fretwell unable to keep things going with Auramas. Auramas has disappeared from these guys and made a bit more headway.
Ooh.
As there's an off track. Looks like he was forced into that error there by the one liveried driver on his inside there, but he gets back going again. Number 72, Matthew. And
So
a lot of action all over the track as we're starting to get in the business end. People are starting to get desperate for these positions and these points, where each position worth about 5 points in their championship.
they are, and Martin Lee out there. I was wondering where he could work, because Martin Lee for the M&M racing team out there is in pit road, and he said, look, sorry, he won't catch his outstanding moves tonight because he's spending his last days off work with the kids, and typically they've gone to bed. Good luck to the lads around this roller coaster. You're absolutely right, my friend. Sorry we couldn't get you to see your racing, but yeah. Family first, motor racing second.
Matthew Jones on the back of James Bostock here, looking to get the move done, as well as we see Zelinskas looking to force something here in the final sector. Looking at maybe wants to hold on to this for the time being instead and make the move down the front straight after Hogpen. This is Hogpen here. He's going through. He's got a nice tight line there. We had to back off the accelerator, and it looks like the 157 car ahead has got the better run, but he's going to get the slipstream. And if this guy defends the inside, it's going to be nigh on impossible to get the move done around the outside. Maybe he wants to set him up for him going deep, but he's outbraked him and got alongside, and there's contact as well. Unsettles the Tinix TK car, and it looks like he's going to get that move done now, Zelinskas. He's managed to hold it around the outside in turn one. Very well done. Gets the inside of the next two corners, and it would be madness to keep it in here from the Tinix TK driver. And there it is. Done deal. Auramas, aggressive and determined in his move there, and gets P4 in class, P5 on track, and now he's got Mukian to overtake before he gets onto the front runners. But I don't think he's going to be able to fight with those front three with only 1 minute 44 to go. This will be white flag lap after they cross the lap time next time.
Trying it.
And here's the switchback here from as Matthew Jones and Bostock go wheel to wheel, battling it out hard here, trying to hold it around the outside. Almost impossible to do, but he's managed to keep his nose just about in there, but can't get on the power as early as the outside line driver.
Taking it to the boss,
and he runs away with it.
Taking it to the boss of the league. And something's happened. Something's happened. Who did we just lose?
It's Spara's dropped down the order big time, and let's see what happened there. This is a handworking Spara, and he's hit the back of him and spun around. It was just Carl Hardwick slow through that corner, but that's a racing incident for all it's worth, really. Spara could not be hitting the back of the car ahead. Now Gary Mitchell getting ooh, this is tight here, and he gets a bit of a snap of oversteer as well, right in between two drivers. This is going to be tears, if I've ever seen it, as these guys are running very, very close to each other. This is Mitchell and Spara in the middle of these guys. That's Spara, Alex Fretwell, and Gary Mitchell, like you're seeing on the screen. We're on the back of Gary Mitchell's car here, looking at Joseph Spara and Alex Fretwell. These guys are much quicker than him, and he knows it, but there's not long left of this race. If he can hang on, he can gain himself some well-earned positions if he defends well enough from these guys. But he already just got done around the outside in turn one by Auramas. I wonder if he's thinking about trying to defend against these guys, or whether or not, oh, this is close. Ooh, that was very, very tight there from Hussein into the back of, oh no, sorry, it's Mark Thomas, almost into the back of Alex Fretwell there. And these guys are so close on track. 4 seconds to go. I believe we have got, this is our last lap, as we've got Handwork running around on his own at the minute.
Just in time, yeah. Okay.
So this is our final lap. He's crossed the line just in time for this. It's going to be the final lap of the race, and it's Handwork's to lose, really. All he has to do is keep it on the black stuff, and you'll get the win, but is almost certainly maybe going to get a penalty of some description, whether that's points off his constructors and drivers' points, or whether that's a position loss. The stewards will have to decide after the race, but it is going to be interesting finish to this one for Spara, Fretwell and Thomas, who are all tight on track at the moment and looking to gain any positions they can as we follow this battle on track. Cars bunched up as we go through. It's like snake section. This is the snake, yes, as we come down into one of the toughest corners on the track, is South Bend at the end of here. It's flat out all the way along this fast twisty section here until you get to the South Bend, a tough corner. You lose all the grip in the car as you come around the next left-hander. As you come here, you'll see them lift and brake as they want to keep the car under control. That left-hander there, very tricky get right in these cars. No downforce on these cars, very little downforce in these cars, and it's the way the track kind of just goes over a little crest, just makes all of the weight jump up in the car, and you lose a lot of rear end grip. Very easy to lose the back end around there. Then everybody gets through in style, as it looks as though they're all happy with their positions at the moment. Nobody's trying any untowards moves, but I'm surprised by Sparrow and Fretwell not trying to be a bit more aggressive with Mitchell in front. They are definitely quicker. Look at how close they're getting to the back of him in the corners. It's but nowhere to make a move here. Nowhere to make that move. Handwork coming now into the infield sector, looking to there's contact again, and these guys are going to struggle here, and looks like they're going to have to check up, and the concentration levels and the predictability you're going to, the prediction brain you're going to have to in order to not hit these guys in front is going to have to be huge. You're going to have to hope that here, from Thomas's point of view, he's hoping that Sparrow and Fretwell take the guy out in front and take all three of them with him. And he gains, just drives through the smoke, and Kimi Räikkönen in Spa style, flat out as Handwork round the final corner will take the win in the heat race here. I believe this is maybe his first win in this series. I could be wrong on that though, but I'm almost certain he's going to get some type of penalty for that race lap 1 incident there. Driving at the back of, I believe it was, it might have been Fretwell that he drove into the back of, but I think Fretwell had taken the lead in fact, so I could be wrong entirely. But there we have our front three. Cowlishaw gets P2 in the end over Zelinskas.
What's happening here? Oh, they already crossed it. Sorry, yeah, I'm getting too hyped up on that one. I always do. Yeah, okay.
Mukian, though, absolutely fantastic result from him. Takes advantage of the mayhem on lap 1 and gets a win. That is a huge result from him. He's not been up that top end. I don't think he's even got a podium so far this season in the AM category. Glass and Sarakar Desla have done well to recover to get P2 and 3 in the AM class as well. But it's Zelinskas who's gaining big in the championship, considering two of his rivals are not here today. He's gaining big points. And see here then it is going to be, I think it's going to be Matthew and Bostock on the front row of the grid for the next race. And hopefully no more punts into turn 1, eh boys?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I think we're going to see maybe a little bit more aggressive driving as we go into the main races. We're just waiting for the drivers to return back into pit road. Some of them that are electing to do it. Some of them just disappear. The magic of disappearing on track like that. Blink, and you're gone. Abracadabra. We didn't get a chance to see Mod's livery, did we, so far? Love it. Is this a new livery that he's got on this machine there? Because, I don't know.
That does look new. It looks absolutely gorgeous as well. My favourite colour, purple.
We didn't see it actually earlier because he's had a little lonely race, dropping 3 positions. And we'll get those results for you in just a second, my friend, as we're just waiting here for Mod to park it. So, biggest loser here by the looks of things is Reiser, who dropped 6 positions. He's in the pits, did not finish the race either. Gave up on that one, but big winner here is Mitchell, who managed to gain 4 positions. Did very well at the end there, Mitchell, to hold off Sparrow, Fretwell and Thomas, who were all looking very rapid behind him, but he held them off. He did. I was going to say, you can't go back out again, my friend. We're all waiting for you. Take care.
We'll have the warm-up here for 5 minutes just to chat about that race. I mean, that was some aggressive racing around here as well, but lots of mistakes as we expect around Virginia. It is a tough track, a roller coaster of a track. One of the corners is even called roller coaster. But here we have your results. Carl Handwork wins the first heat here in Virginia then for Evolution Sim Racing by 6.5 seconds, over 6.5 seconds after Paul Cowlishaw made that mistake to let him and Sparrow through, and then Sparrow made a mistake hitting the back of Carl as well. Aramas gets a nice P3 after an early punt off track as well. James Mukian, with his best result so far, gets the win in the AM category, beating a number of pro drivers in the process as well. He'll be very happy with that. Gary Mitchell becomes P5. Good result from him. Big points coming his way. Sparrow gets P6 after his towards punt into Carl Handwerk's behind. Alex Fretwell, good recovery in the end, but Auramas showed him up a little bit with his recovery, but he has not bottled it like he thought he would in the chat earlier. Mark Thomas in P8, good result from him, and it's Hussein Sarakar Tesla in P9 who's finally managed to get his name after I practiced it over and over again in the mirror all week. Joe Glass, an easier name to pronounce, P10 rounds off the top 10. And Gareth Newton, a good result from him for Robson Racing in P11, gaining himself big points in the AM category. Stephen Donnelly in P12, followed by Matthew Jones in P13 for Glass Tech Racing. His fans in chat will be very proud as he managed to beat James Bostock, the boss of the league, in P14 for GP2 Racing. We've got Graham Matthew in P15, followed by Robert Aston in P16 after a little untoward moment off track for him. He maybe could have finished a little higher in the order. There's your top 16 as we move on to the next 9 or so drivers. We've got P17 belongs to Chris Keenan for MRC, and Philip McConaughey had a race to forget really after he's been beaten by so many armed drivers in P18, has not put the practice in. Modestas comes P19 with Joseph Preston 3 laps down, Scott Kostrich 4 laps down, Thiago Reiser 7 laps down, David Clark 9 laps, and then we've got Stuart Briley in P24 even more laps down, and P25 I believe is Martin Lee, who did not get going. I believe he's got the kids tonight, spending his last days off work with the kids, and typically they've gone to bed, but he says good luck to the lad. So it's good to see that kind of community spirit in leagues, and getting involved with things even when they're not racing. But there it is, the track map once more for Virginia. It's a nightmare, this track. I know you don't do a lot of racing yourself, Dean, but have you ever given a lap in anger around this track at all?
No, I've never driven any track in iRacing at all before, ever.
I mean, you're not missing out.
Not even a lap of anything. No.
A
And if I was to
horrible
give it a
track.
shot, I'd probably give it a shot on a track that I know, like the back of my hand, like Monza and stuff like that. 13 corners, and most of them straightaways. So that's something I would give a shot. It has to be tracks that I know. Brazil. I mean, I know Brazil. I love Brazil, but that's probably the elevation changes would be more of a difficult track. I'd have to start just with something simple like that, and then go, all right. Let's see if
Honestly,
can
I
go quicker."
find
something like this is going straight from like novice to expert level of your racing.
Yeah, it's definitely not for the faint of heart, this track, and there are so many curbs that can unsettle the car to the point of spinning you out that you've really got to have a good idea, get a lot of laps in here. As I say, it took me 10 laps before I even got a clean lap in, and I was on a course, actually I think it was the GR86, the Toyota GR86 that I was driving around here, and there was a guy out in the Ford Mustang, a much quicker car, as you would know, for the PCC Cup in iRacing, and I was beating his times because he was struggling so much. in a Ford Mustang, a V8, against a little hybrid electric thing, I think it's hybrid, the GR86, beating him all ends up by 4 or 5 seconds around this track.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a tough one, a real tough one, and in the faster the car, the tougher it is, and these Ferraris, back end happy, really, very easy to get slippy and slidey, and this track ruins the tyres as well. So in this next race, half an hour long, if it's long enough to make a pit stop, it's long enough for the tyres to go off if you get slippy and slidey, which a number of drivers have been getting as we watch them warm up and practice around here, and in qualifying as well. So start to get a little bit slidey in this car, and the tyres overheat pretty quick, and makes the grip non-existent on the back tyres, and you really need that back end grip around these kind of sectors through the roller coaster and the hog pen, especially as the car gets very unsettled as you go over these little crests, and tough to keep it in order. This is
that's why I wanted to show the nose cam where you can feel the roller coaster ride, can't you, as practice session's about to finish. Sorry if anybody out there gets motion sickness, you might go, whoa, driving up there. Of course, I don't drive in nose cam, but it obviously the lower the camera is to the track, isn't it? The more sensation of speed that you get.
Yeah, that used to be my favourite camera in racing games. I used to always be either on the nose,
really?
like on the bonnet cam, or that one there where you're kind of in front of the bonnet. But let's go through your starting grid for this one. Reverse 15 of the top 15 drivers. We've got Graham Matthew on pole, James Bostock on the front grid with him in P2, Matthew Jones in P3, Stephen Donnelly in P4, and Gareth Newton in P5, and Joe Glass in P6. So the first 3 rows all taken up by AM drivers. Then we've got Hussein in P7, and Mark Thomas, the first pro driver on your grid, in P8. Alex Fretwell in P9 and Joseph Sparra in P10. Those guys will be looking to make up places early on so that they don't get swamped by some of the quicker drivers behind. Gary Mitchell in P11 and James Mukian in P12 to round out the top 12. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we've got Auramas in P13 and Paul Cowlishaw in P14, looking to get some early work done to make up positions as we get going. And there we have the green flag, and it looks like P2 got a great start there, as did a guy behind, and he's come back onto the track in horrible style, you've got to say there. And pit maneuvers the guy ahead, that almost looked intentional, but I shall reserve judgment on that until we've seen a replay. But it looks like James Bostock got a fantastic start, takes the lead into turn 1 and is running away with it. It looks like we've got some lead changes there. Stephen Donnelly in P2, Mark Thomas in P3, followed by Gareth Newton, and Alex Fretwell has made up huge positions to get into P4 already. Already jumped up a lot of positions there, has Fretwell. Thomas as well in P3. And there's more contact and another car around. He's going to be stranded in the middle of the track. That's going to be difficult for him to get out of the way and other people to avoid. He's still moving the car, which is a bit of a no-no. But sometimes you've got to use your best judgment. But more action on lap 1 as drivers struggle to get side by side around this track. It's a narrow track, hard to go side by side. Sometimes you've got to give up the position. Sometimes that means going so slowly that you're almost guaranteed to get punched from some of the guys behind if they're not being careful. Bostock takes the lead over Donnelly, Thomas in P3, Fretwell in P4, Newton gets robbed by Mitchell as we're talking about, but there's a switchback there and he gets it back, and these guys, he's off track big time, like and that's a horrible rejoin, but he left the space on the outside for the guys to use, but gets away with no contact. But that, as we saw from the penalties for Rhys Saunders, that could still be a penalty from the stewards. His handwork here looking under pressure from the number 40 of Newton here. Paul Cowlishaw getting past them both as well, and there's big contact as Cowlishaw and handwork go careening into the bitch corner and off the track, and apologies coming over the voice cameras. There's Cowlishaw going around another driver off track. It's all happening in these open laps. It's hard to keep up with. Reiser has managed to gain 7 positions in all of this, manages to keep his nose clean and get through the packs in short order. He's on for a good result here if he can keep things clean for the remaining 27 minutes. But already lots of action going on as we go for a replay for the start. Look at this, and look at that. That almost looks intentional. It looks like maybe he just lost it a bit as he went off track to try and get around the man in front, and that is Matthew Jones you see there going backwards off your track. That's Graham Matthews, sorry, rejoining there. He's the one who got pit maneuvered off the track there, but it looked as though that was going to be an illegal overtake anyway. I'm pretty sure that is not part of the track over that pit and exit line. So very one for the stewards to mull over for sure, as Bostock sets the fastest lap in the AM category. And yeah, this is a man off track here. Just too deep there is Graham Matthew. He's struggling with blinking as well. And then we see a car go through where he was blinking off the track as well. So not sure if that's just my camera pack giving untowardness at the moment. But untoward moments for a few people. He's just lost it all, ends up going in there, just outbraked himself onto the grass. And the guy behind was lucky that he carried on and got out of his way. But let's carry on with more racing. We've got Reiser making headway still and looking racy as Modestas on the back of Keenan at the moment. We've got a little train of cars in front of him to get past. Some of these guys struggling with these snaky sections here. Could be flat out on the throttle well before that moment there for Modestas in his beautiful safety. Is that safety? That is Stephen Donnelly off track, banging into the wall in very hard bang that as well. He's going to be struggling to get back on track there. What's going on? This is South Bend, and he's got it all wrong. He's got off into the grass over the side, loses all grip, smashes into the barrier, and he's going to find it tough to rejoin there as cars are coming through there at high speed. But he is back going again, and it's looks like that is Cowlishaw that is getting past him there in the Walt car, as Preston and McConaughey go past as well. Preston here in your number 22 yellow DeWalt car with Cowlishaw right behind him. He'll be looking to make short work of this guy in front. He knows he wants to be fighting at the top end of this, but something that we've heard said before the stewards, just be patient and wait for the best opportunity rather than crashing somebody off. We've got McConaughey off track, and I don't know, can't see it very well, his rejoin there, but it didn't look great, that rejoin, from the camera angle I had, but we could not see. But he did get punted off as well. But the nature of not practicing so much as some...
Yeah, that's not too wise. You're not supposed to
that is almost certainly
reverse onto track, are you? I mean, Formula One, remember Daniel Ricciardo got a penalty one time for doing that.
That's a big no-no, reversing onto the track. You can't see where you're going, especially in a Formula 1 car. GT3 is more visibility, of course, but reversing onto the track is asking for trouble. And because he reversed onto that track there, I imagine the stewards are almost certainly going to give him a penalty for a bad rejoin. Big on the bad rejoin penalties here as Zelinskas gets past. Oh, and he puts right into the back of, I believe that is, it's the number.
James.
Cannot see, 66. James Bostock there as well. So just trying to make the move, gets it all wrong at braking, and it's just a mistake, but it's almost certainly going to be a penalty there. James Bostock does very well to avoid the bad rejoin, but he's still over the track anyway. But that is just getting his braking all wrong there. Unusual mistake from him. Ordinarily, he's been very good at that, but maybe he didn't expect Bostock to be so slow through that corner, which is a possibility. Bostock maybe on the receiving end of a bad penalty for a rejoin as well. You cannot skip across the track like that. Going across the racing line like Bostock did there is a big no-no. So that could be a couple of championship points docked from him. Got to wait for the biggest gap you can imagine in order to get the car turned around and onto the racing line, not cross the racing line. Got to get it, sometimes easier said than done, but look at the difficult nature of this track as both guys there getting a bit deep into the first of the two oak tree corners there. Important that you get the exit of the second oak tree perfect, so the entry of the first one's not so much of a problem. But Spara currently looking all over the back of Mitchell as we follow on board here with Aston and Reusser. Come on out of the two. He's probably going to run away with this, but we've also got handwork on the back of these guys as well, looking to get past Aston as things stand, and he'll be looking... We've seen him before in the past with his moves. He can be a little tad aggressive with them, and he's stuck behind at the moment as we go through this twisty section of the track on the infield of the spiral. We've got a man off track. We've got Kostrich as he's coming down to Bitch Corner, and he's well offline here as well. I think he's got lost and he's just forgotten where the track goes. Off the track he goes, stops on track. He's going to have to turn that one around with a 180 there to get back going again. But yeah, probably just got didn't have the A to Z out and forgot where he was going for a moment there. Happens to the best of us.
Turn the car around. I was just going to sing that song in my head at the moment. I try and think of what could go with that one because the pit lane's waiting for you. Anyway, up to the
Turn
top.
Turn around every now and then. That's the one you're looking for.
Oh yeah, no, there's another one I have in my head too. Here we go.
We have Spara on the back of Mitchell here. He's going to have to look to the outside into turn one. He's going to try and maybe see if he can get to the inside again. He's gone for the option of the switchback here. Is he going to get the inside line? It's going to be the outside for the next corner, and parked on the apex is the ton of tea cake car. No way around that. No way to make an overtake into this corner here. Got to really be very dangerously move up the inside there on a late brakes, akin to what Alonso did in turn 10 at Bahrain on Lewis Hamilton, I believe it was, where you've got to send it, and there's no two ways about it. You're sending it, and if you get the braking wrong and crash, that's your fault. But a car off track there, that looked like a CRN Motorsport liveried car there as well. That is Preston dropping down the order. What, he's got something wrong there as he comes around here. And gets a bit unsettled on the snakes there as he hits the curb a little bit too hard there. We've got some side-by-side action between these two, and he had the space there, so you would say that's just his own fault for going off the track there, but pressured into it by the overtake, the car on the inside. And then we've got Spara as well, who gets onto the grass. A big slide there as well. Is he going to catch it? He does as well.
It's hard to stop
here,
isn't it?
Back in a straight line and back on track, and slows it down enough for Oak Tree as well. That is brilliant car control, you've got to say there, from Spara to manage to keep that back going in the same direction after that big power slide there. And here, I think this is roller coaster here, just skipping the entire track there. I mean, sometimes I think with my time that's where the track should go, because that's a nightmare, that corner, to get the car stopped. You've got on camber, off camber, you've got oversteer, understeer, the lot as you're going into that corner there. You've got to be very tentative, and if you be committed there, you gain a lot of time on other drivers. Handwork all over the back of Thomas here on your screens as he's struggling to get past some of these drivers. 20 minutes to go. We're going to start seeing people going in for their splash and dashes for the last 10 minutes or so. So another 10 minutes or so, we'll see people diving into the pits, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not any big strategy plays come out where somebody's saved a little bit of fuel to go an extra lap. It'd be difficult, such a long track, to save a whole lap of fuel, but maybe if you're only 0.4 away from that extra lap, you can get the overcut. Probably going to be the option to go for here at VIR, because he's not going to come back out into traffic. We see another off track here, and it's the same place again. That left-hander there in that little sector of corners, roller coaster I believe it is, tough one to get right. Could also be spiral, that could be. It's hard to tell with this track where you are at times. There are so many corners. 23 it says on the track map, but there are definitely more than that, because there's a number like turn 15 that have A and B, and turn 17 that have A, B and C and D corners as well.
Oh, Gary's gone off track there. I was just wondering at the moment, that's why. Mr. Cup tea and biscuits, whatever that is, that product, and there it is, straight on, fortunately.
Yeah, impossible to keep it out the barrier once you go off on some of the exits at VIR. It's proving to be what we expected, though. VIR, a top track. We're seeing a lot of off tracks, a lot of mistakes being made. Fretwell at the moment currently leads the way after some untoward business at the top end. The AM drivers were leading this for a long time, but as time's gone on and off tracks have come in thick and plenty, he's managed to gain the lead, and if he keeps things steady, he should get his first win here. Big gap behind to Sparrow, 8 seconds at the moment to I think Newton behind, gets overtaken by Sparrow as well.
Is this letting them through because it's a different class? I think.
Could also just be, I think sometimes it's hard to tell at times whether or not they've let them through or just made a big mistake because they were worried about a guy being quicker behind in the mirrors. And we've seen plenty of people get the old Punterino in the backside from some of these quicker drivers in this series. And some of these guys just more cautious than they want to race, really. Newton may be one of those, like you say. Royce, though, now in contention there. You can see him behind the maroon car with the green one and the blue one behind as we come through spiral sector here. That means Newton's going to have Royce for company sooner rather than later, and Royce will definitely want that position because he's still leader of the ARM Championship and wants as many points as he can get in order to stretch that lead as much as he can before he gets booted into the pro class, because I think that's coming sooner rather than later, given his talent at driving anything with four wheels so far that I've seen. Well, it's pretty much only seen him drive a Ferrari so far this season, but he seems rather quick.
Wait, there's Ferraris in this race, of course. Currently here at the moment, 22 of them, 3 retirements of David Clark. We know that Martin Lee is not racing because he's spending some time with his family, and Stewart as well too.
Oh, that's Royce off the track, goes off in turn 1, goes a bit deep, ends up right down the order. That's his charge for P1, pretty much gone now. He's going to have it all to do in order to get back there. Let's see what happens there. He just outbrakes himself and ends up in the grass, and like I've said a million times already, once you get one wheel on that grass, you've got 4 wheels on the grass, because it's impossible. The grip level of grass, especially wet grass, everybody says that you've seen it a million times in Reddit and everything else, the iRacing grass isn't realistic. It is very similar, the friction coefficient of grass and wet grass.
Oh, they are going to go side by side through here. Are you kidding me?
Auramas eventually gives it up in the end. He decided better of it, but that's Auramas trying to turn the screw on Krasauskas in front. Krasauskas eventually does make the mistake. Oh, that was almost a big mistake from Krasauskas and almost took him out. I believe I'm looking at the wrong people, though. I think that was Aston that I'm looking at there. Apologies. So
it was
Robin Aston making a big mistake.
Yeah.
Sometimes get confused with the numbers, but look at this replay here. Gets onto the grass there. Very easy to lose it and spear across the track. And Auramas, big Cole Brown moment. He needs a new pair of underwear because you saw him dive across the left-hand side of the track thinking, no, don't come back and hit me. Hit Cowlishaw behind me instead. And now Cowlishaw is stuck behind him and looking to make that move here is going to be tricky. This left-hander, a tough spot to overtake.
Look at the rear sliding. Well. The car's not cooperating at all. It's just like it's like taming a beast, isn't it? On that just doesn't want to be tamed.
It's like trying to ride a bull.
Ride a bull, yeah, it's exactly right, my friend. Not a Red Bull, but the Italian stallion.
It's definitely akin sometimes, especially at this track, because this track destroys tyres. And the Ferrari, not so good at keeping its tyres in a good window, especially compared to other GT3 cars such as the Mercedes, AMG and the BMW. This one is a bit of a beast. Like you say, it's hard to keep the tyres in a window. They overheat very easily. And a track like this, where you've got those sections, the twisty sections, with the car losing its weight, gaining it again. We've got Robin Aston off track once more, struggling with the pressure of cars in his rear view mirror by the looks of things. Ends up off track, and maybe that's sometimes a blessing in disguise for some of these slow drivers. Then they can get back on track in a nice little window, drive around on their own, and win the race that they're racing against the drivers that they're racing, which is tends not to be Zelinskas and Cowlishaw, as they're trying to recover again after incidents. It seems to be a common theme in Evolution Sim Racing, is that some of these quicker drivers that we have competing at the top end tend to get involved in a few incidents here and there as they race these slower guys and end up trying to get past backmarkers and the like.
I just wanted to check the weather, because you can see it's got a little bit more overcast, and that means track temperature at the moment is 33, air temperature 27, as it is in the morning, local time, track time. But I guess
quite low
it's
for
a lot
this
overcast at the moment. That's going to make it even more trickier, isn't it, as the temperatures drop on the track?
Quite low for this track. That means sometimes the grip levels gain a little bit, and your car is a little less likely to slip and slide. But nature of this track, as soon as you try and get a little bit overconfident with it at this track, it bites your head off. We've got handwork still on the back of Thomas, and he needs to get past sooner or later for that P3 from Thomas. Otherwise, Zelinskas and Cowlishaw could be soon on his back end.
Just got that overtake there done. This is just sort of caught the end of it.
That's on Mukian for Alfo Racing behind as well. Mukian having a great race here in Virginia is Mukian. P2 in class at the moment, won the first heat, and it's Newton ahead who's doing rather well for his first win in class as well. I believe that would be a great result for Newton. We've not mentioned him much.
P2. Joseph's made a little bit of a mistake here, but hopefully he'll get it back on. Does he lose a place? No. But that's just now allowed the other drivers just behind. We'll go back to the live pictures, because that's currently where it is right now. There's and you can see just up the road, make Gagler cars. So we are on board with Carl. Handwork. See up the road there, Mark Thomas, Gareth Newton is there, because that's Joe, and then Joe. And that's the gap, actually. Oh, no! Oh,
spinning Hog's pen.
That's Gareth.
Well,
now, you can go into pit road. That's okay.
I don't know if that's what he wanted to do, but he can do a smash and dash
got contact there.
Yeah, he's got punting from behind as well. So that's possibly a penalty coming for the CRN Motorsports.
It's not a bad place to be punted, because, I mean, almost, I'd say like a second later, he would have been punted at the pit road anyway, so it wouldn't have been too bad.
There's never a good place to get punted, though, is it? But that could be a penalty coming towards Mark Thomas, who did that there. Bit of a punt causing a collision, just hitting somebody at the backside. It's an easy mistake to make. It obviously wasn't intentional or anything like that, but he did punt the guy off regardless. Sarah Desla gets past Newton as well in the pit lane, so Newton dropping down the order, but he'll gain a few of those positions back when he comes out of the pits and everybody else has to go in. Fretwell currently leading by 12 seconds over Spara, who's made a few mistakes, and Spara now looking in his rear view instead of ahead, as Handwork and Thomas are coming up fast. Handwork has managed to get Thomas off our screens there as well, and is scything through the field at the moment. Man on a mission, but we've seen him do this before and then crash into somebody. So we're hoping that that's not going to happen here today. But he tends to get involved in very aggressive wheel-to-wheel racing, does Handwork, and he's obviously most likely going to have a penalty coming his way, chopping a few points off his score after the punt in the first heat into turn 1.
Yeah, just Joseph at the moment. He's actually in the AM class. I apologise. We can get it corrected for the next race, but we can't get it corrected at the moment. So it just shows him as a bit of a nowhere. But it's I have to say, not too bad. I mean, he's essentially 4th in class at the moment for his what appears to be his debut race.
He's likely to lose another position, and Newton, who's already made his pit stops, and we've lost Kostrich and McConaughey in the early stages of this race as well. Kostrich never got going, and McConaughey 4 laps down as it stands. Probably just gave this one up after too many off tracks. Decided as most people tend to when you've got on a track and you've done very little practice. It's as tough as this one. This one isn't for me. I need to do more practice before I drive this track. Definitely my feelings after I raced this for the first time. Definitely need to do at least 50 laps around here before you can feel comfortable around this track. It's such a tough one.
Pit stops at the moment showing you. So for this man right now, Stefan Donnelly, sorry, is so he's the last really of, you can see those drivers currently. So 14th he is on overall, and everybody else above him still yet to make that pit stop that is required. Just under 10 minutes to go now, my friend Stephen.
Yeah, the fastest man on track at the moment is Zilinskas, who's currently in P5 and within a shout of P2 still as well. I think with only 10 minutes to go, P1's a long way away. Alex Fretwell has this in the bag as long as he keeps it on the black stuff. He gets his pit stop right as well as handwork. That looks like is coming in. It could be somebody else. No, it is Matthew, I believe. Sarakar Desler also in the pit. And sworn there was a one livery going in there as well, but I'm just confused as to who it was. But Auramas, a man on a mission. He is the fastest man on track, and he's closing in on Thomas, who's lost the toe from handwork as well. So we're hoping that put earlier incidents behind him and just get a nice clean overtake here on Thomas, the CRN liveried 150 car ahead of him at the moment. Handwork already on the back of Spara as well. Spara, after a couple of incidents, maybe just being a little bit more cautious in order to avoid any more untoward off tracks. And Handwork may be able to take advantage of that, but seen his aggression in overtakes before. He's been involved in a number of incidents so far this season, and feel another one brewing in my gut, I have to say. These guys race hard. So far in this season, we've definitely seen a lot of bullying, of dive bombs, of pushing people wide, and all sorts of things. We've got a replay here for Chris Keenan as he's lost it on the rear end, and there's a right corner there, mate. That left one is a different track altogether. There's so many different variations.
There's a fence out there too with no tire barrier protection. So. Yeah,
so tough one though. But this is a horrible sector of the track there. I don't know exactly where that is on the track. I think that's coming up to roller coaster, I believe. Yes, it is. Where the other tracks, two tracks,
the whole track's a roller coaster. Which roller coaster?
There is actually part? Turn 20 is actually called roller coaster as well, and it's a nasty turn as well because you keep feeling as though you can take more and more speed into it because you've got all the grip in the world. When you go around, you think, that was easy. I've got all the grip. I can go faster through there. And the one time you go a bit faster through there, it chops your head off. It sends you wide, and this is the nature of this track as well. Once it chops your head off, it really takes it off. French Revolution style, full-on guillotine, and does not give it back. It's ruthless, this track.
You'll be running around like a headless chicken.
Oh yeah, good 10 seconds before you drop into the barrier, and then the twitching goes away. But Newton still on a charge here. He's in P5 at the moment. He's got his stop done, so he's overtaking people as the pit stops come in. It'll be interesting to see how that punt into the pit lane affects him, though, because Reusser was a number of seconds behind him and is in charge of the race at the moment. He's thankful of that. He's got Mukian right behind him here in the Alfo liveried car. Reusser already made a couple of mistakes so far this race, and still sitting in P1. No time for blinkers, as Dave Calm says, and yeah, it's always a nightmare when somebody blinks, especially in a track like this, because you don't know if they've blinked and then gone off track and then come back on slowly, and they've blinked out of existence for you, and then they blink back in existence, suddenly 20 miles an hour slower than they were before they blinked. You've got no idea what's going to happen until they come on track right in front of you and you smash into the back. It's happened before. One of the worst places for it to happen to is, of course, downhill section at Bathurst. Somebody blinks out of existence there, hits the barrier, and then sideways into the track. They come blinking back into existence right in front of you. That's definitely happened to me once or twice. And yeah,
come on, definitely, Gareth. Yeah, Gareth, come on, mate. You should be full of force at the moment with the surname of Newton. We all know that Newton is a unit of force, so come on, bring it on. It looks like Mark Thomas has actually got off track. That's why you saw a little puff of smoke there. So sorry about the pun, my friend, but it's more of an honor to have that one. Look at that. Yeah. Ooh, that's going to be hitting hard. Boom.
Almost stopped the car dead in its tracks there as he caught the edge of the the tyre barrier there. Not that he wasn't going to smash into another barrier if he'd missed that anyway. On board here with Stephen Donnelly, who's had a couple of off tracks here at the moment. Back on the back of James Bostock here. And James Bostock, being in the boards a bit himself, he's going to get overtaken in short order down this back straight.
Nice,
Gets a good exit out of Oak Tree here. And inside line means it's pretty much a done deal coming into Bitch Corner or turn 13.
Rear end too. As we'll keep an eye on this overtake. See if he get it done. Yes, he does.
Bostock has no chance of fighting that around the outside. He knows it. He brakes early, gets the wide line, comes out behind. But flurry of drivers into the pit lane as everybody's coming in for their splash and dash. I doubt anybody's going to take tyres. We've seen no cars being lifted up, so no tyres being done. You should be able to take 2 tyres, front or back, within the time it takes to get the petrol into the car. But if it's being just slash and dash, a lot of drivers may be opting just for no tyres here. But it's going to mix things up a little bit. Alex Fretwell has come out still in the lead and lost half a second or so. Is he better with me? Is got a bit of hiccups there, but Handwork has managed to get Sparrow through that as well and managed to jump up to P2, and Cowley Shaw still unable to get past Thomas as things stand. Zelinskas, something's happened to him. He's gone dropped a long way back and is no longer in that fight at the top end as he comes out the pit exit, as Alex Fretwell currently on a charge at the moment for the win here at Virginia International Raceway.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what's happened here at the moment. He's in the same position that he started with. So he hasn't gained or lost anything in this particular race. But yeah, I can't see any race notes. The only problem, of course, is that when everybody goes into the pits at once, I have a screen full of race messages saying somebody's entering the pit, somebody's passing somebody, somebody's passing, somebody's entering. They're stopping at this, they're doing that, you know. So it gets super busy if there's anything else.
It looks like he was in the pits for a long time. A long time. Entered the pits at 46 seconds, 70, and then left at 1 minute 11. So that's quite a long.
You're right. That's what that was.
Stop, so...
Just a long pit stop. Maybe he took extra, or something he didn't need to. But as Robin's still struggling at the moment down there in P18 overall, but still hopefully bring it home to Barney.
Yep, you still got 2 minutes and 54 seconds for other people to make big mistakes that'll make him gain. But it's an interesting one for me that so many people go for this. Well, we'll just fill the car full of fuel and then pit at the end for a splash and dash. Absolutely nobody yet has decided I'm just going to put 20 litres in at the start, come in early, and then go to the end from there. That lighter car was going to make you a lot quicker in that early stages when cars are close together. And allow you to maybe make up some position.
That's a good question, but do you have to? Do you have a choice to do that in between the races, or not? Or that's only you do that at the start, because you might not have a chance to do that with the grid from the Heat 1 results.
I'm wondering as well, yeah, because obviously
you wouldn't have it like
setup here.
You'd have to know, wouldn't you? Because if you're going to be in P1, you probably or P2, that might be a good opportunity because you're going to be pacey, right? You can get off down the road, try to cover off the pit stops later on, stuff that people are going to have. The early pit stop you have to do. But the problem, of course, is that somebody's gone off Big Rasta. That's James, I think.
Yeah, manages to rejoin it nicely there. That's out of Hogpen there. Very easy to get that corner wrong. You've got to keep a tight line in order to carry the speed onto the straight. But very, very easy to take it too tight or just get on the power a little early and push the car wide. Cowley Short here looking to get Thomas. He's been on the back of him for a while now and able to get this move done, and be looking to get this position for P4 before the end of this race. 1 minute 20 seconds to go. Imagine we're going to see the white flag. Apologies, not the yellow flag. We've seen plenty of yellow flags already, but don't really see any more. But see the white flag as Fretwell crosses the line next. He's 10 seconds up the road, so he's just there on your top right-hand track map there. I believe that would be Fretwell on the black on your screen coming through Bitch Corner as we speak. And so now if he's far enough along this to be the last lap, or whether or not
I'm not saying
it'll be the last lap after he crosses the line.
It's a little confusing. I don't see anything from race control to say it is the last lap. Although it should be, right?
Keep our eyes on that Marshall tower when we drive past and see whether he's waving a checkered flag or a white one.
Really? The Marshalls do that? Oh, I was going to say, I don't see that at the moment. Although, that's something as a driver, you do see something different in drivers. You do see, obviously, your pit crew and things like that. I don't know, because I don't race. You know, iRacing, like sometimes are there extra things? Are there indicators and things like that on the track that we don't see in spectator mode?
Just at the start-finish line, you can see the little marshal waving the flag as you come down the pit straight, so he'll tell you.
You mean that's Barney? Or another marshal?
I couldn't tell you what his name is. I've never met the bloke. But...
Oh, the guy that does the checkered flag is Barney.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. So this is it, crossing the line. I think this is the one to go now.
So yeah, that's the checkered
it.
flag.
It's checkered flag.
So Fretwell, great job from him to win this one. He got punted off in the first race and covered well. Handwerk manages to get a P2, but almost certainly going to have another tap on the wrists on the back of the hand from the stewards after punting somebody off in race 1 as well. Sparrow gets a podium, his first in the pro category after joining for Spa last week. And Thomas holds on to P4 over Cowdershaw, who gets P5. Newton does win the AM category as well. Even with that punt into the pit lane, he managed to have enough of a gap to Reiser to claim his first victory. Reiser gets P2, holds on well to his lead in the championship. Glass with a P3 is starting to turn the screw on Reiser in the championship as well, though. So he's definitely got some pace in that car, in the Ferrari car here. Glass. Mitchell comes P6 in the pro category, but is that 9 overall for Mitchell. Zelinskas, want to forget, P7 altogether, but he's gaining points over his rivals regardless, as Mukian and Krasauskas and Preston are all making the places up in between him and Mitchell. We'll go through the full grid once we get the standings up for you boys, but that is Virginia International Raceway, and I imagine a number of these drivers are going to be glad to see the back of this one. It's a nightmare. It is a tough track. Reiser, though, 10 positions gained in this race, has pulled one out of the bag in terms of recovery drives. Jones down 8 positions. Matthew, I don't know if he's gained or lost 8 positions there with the way the arrow is pointing, but number of big winners and losers. Handwerk gaining 5 to get a P2 is not a bad recovery either.
Yeah, Preston won't show you the gainers and losers because it's in the class as well. And because it's not defined as a class, you can't calculate.
He's done well, you have to say, as a newcomer to the league, coming P6 in his category. Barney. Not a bad finish. There is Barney, indeed, sitting in a little gazebo there. Lovely.
He's the only one you're actually going to see, apart from spectators. You didn't see many spectators in this one. All right, we have our results finally to go over, my friend.
So let's have a look at how people have
the right results for you this time. Yeah, feature race.
Crossed. Yeah. So Alex Fretwell wins in Virginia. He was saying in the chat that he was going to bottle this one beforehand. Watch me bottle it, he says. And he's managed to come home in P1. Carl Handwerk in P2. These guys taking good advantage of the fact that 2 of the fastest guys in the grid, in Raz Harper and Reece Saunders, are not here this week. Joseph Sparrow, with his first podium in Evolution Sim Racing, is proving to be a handful as a newcomer here to the league and is starting off his career well. And Mark Thomas in P4. And Paul Cowlishaw rounding out the top 5 for the privateer team. Gareth Newton wins his first AM category, I believe that is, for Rob Ton Racing, and it's Thiago Reiser, the first time he hasn't won in quite a while in the AM category. Still gaining good points, though, for his championship charge, and he's looking odds on to win that one. Joe Glass in P3 in the AM class there, making up the podium position. Gary Mitchell in P9 overall, followed by James Mukian in P10. Fantastic racing from him today and getting himself a good result in the end in both races. Modestas Krasauskas gets P11, a good result for him for SRB Motorsport by Lynn Vega, followed by Joseph Preston, a newcomer, and in the AM class gets himself a nice result here. Aramas Zelinskas, what to forget in this second feature race, but he did well in the heat race forehand. P13 from overall for this one, though. Stephen Donnelly in P14, and then Hussein and James making up P15 and 16, respectively, for GP2 Racing. Followed by Robin Aston and Matthew Jones, making up the next 2 for Glass Tech Racing there. Matthew Jones, want to forget for him. He was off track a couple of times there. Maybe he could have finished a little bit higher if he reduces the mistakes a little bit. Chris Keenan in at P20. Philip McConaughey gave up halfway through and is 11 laps down overall. Scott Kostridge also 11 laps down, followed by the other non-finishers, Dave Clark, Stuart Brierley, Martin Lee, and I believe there was one more as well.
No, it didn't show. That's it.
But never mind.
Yeah.
I think that is actually the lot, though. Stuart Briley and Martin Lee, the last two on the results. So there is your results. And we'll move on to interviews if we've got anybody waiting for them. We have Alex Fretwell in the interview channel. We'll drag him straight in and start off with a big congratulations. You did not bottle it in the end. You said in broadcast chat beforehand you were going to bottle this one, but you've managed to get P1 in the end. You must be very satisfied with that.
Yeah, definitely with race 2 more than race 1. Yeah, it was good stuff. A little bit lonely, if anything. Yeah, race 2, everyone that came up behind me seemed to want to throw it at the grass, which was a bit of a shame, not having too much racing. But from that point, I'm just trying to keep it at sort of 90%, keep it on the track, and make sure I didn't get any sort of pit lane related penalty this week, which I've had for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, all you got to do is learn from your mistakes, not make them twice. That's the main thing, really. But that's your first win, I believe, since I've been commenting in Evolution Sports. Do you think you can make that spot again, or is it just a case of there's a couple of aliens missing today and you got a bit of luck? What do you think was that?
It's a difficult one to predict. I felt before the penalty at Spa, it was maybe touch and go, sort of between first and second. In terms of pace, I would say Reese is the only one that I feel that I probably can't match over one lap. But obviously the races are nearly half an hour, so yeah, I'll try and get another one at some point, but just try and stay on the podium a bit more and stay penalty free. That'd do me.
Yeah, and we've got to talk about it because it was important in your heat race. You managed to get the jump on the 2 guys ahead of you in the first heat, take P1 into turn 1, and then there was a domino effect. Do you know what happened there? Did you just not see what was going on? Because obviously you were focusing on the corner ahead of you, not the guys punting you at the backside. But was it punt?
I've had a quick look at it. It seems like just one of those things, but obviously it's no nice to go in P1 and complete the first to last challenge at turn 1. Yeah, from that point it was just race 1 was absolutely mental. There was like 3 or 4 cars in front of me every lap, and obviously through some of these sort of switchback S-bends, there's different lines, and the car in front of you trying to go for an overtake, trying to make sure you're not running into the back of them. It was just so many trains. It was unreal. And then complete opposite in race 2. I never saw anyone after lap 1.
Nature of this track as well, with those twisty sections. If you're stuck behind a slower guy, tell us what that's like. I mean, how do you readjust your braking points when they're braking so early and carrying so little speed through the corners compared to what you believe you do?
Yeah, being stuck behind James Bostock's horrendous, isn't it? I had to get that in. Yeah, it's difficult. You just sort of have to hang back a bit. Obviously, they're racing their race as well. Most of the time, trying to go as quick as they can, and it is so difficult, this track. So just sort of waiting for one of the 2 straights, really, the main straight or the back straight. I did manage to pull a few moves through the sort of fast left-hander at the end of the second sector, something like that. Yeah. Just with people getting it wrong on entry, but mainly it's just wait for the straight and try and be patient.
But top points here in the feature race, the most important one, of course. Everybody wants to win the feature race, and we didn't see what happened to Aramas. Imagine that maybe he's fallen foul of your problem in the last couple of races and got himself a penalty in the pits as well. But Carl Hanwick was looking rapid as well. Do you believe that if had he caught you, you'd been able to keep him behind?
Yeah, probably, just because of what we've just said about how difficult it is to find a pass around this place. If you sort of focus on the exits on a couple of key corners, it is really hard work to find a way through. Obviously, I think he pitted a lap earlier than the rest of us. I've seen that he came out P2. And with that point, like 6-7 minutes left, whatever it was just sort of try and maintain it as close to 10 seconds. Obviously, had that bit of buffer, so didn't want to sort of leave everything on the line and risk making a mistake. So just sort of trying to manage it home, really. But yeah, it was in control.
So Donington Park next. So you're going to be here for that one? Is the next question.
Yeah, I'll be here.
What do you think of that track?
Yeah, it's a good track. The hairpins take some doing. You got to get it really slowed down for the penultimate corner in particular. I think it's obviously the middle sector is pretty similar to here. You've got a lot of switchbacks and a lot of grass to go for a little trip on. There's not many close barriers, so.
I have to say, I think I've not raced much at Donington, but the chicane in Donington is one of the best chicanes in all of motorsport
full send,
as far as I'm
concerned. Years and just hit the curbs.
Yeah, it's that and Nürburgring are two of my favourite corners in motorsport. I have to say, the best chicanes around.
Yeah, the old Variante Alta as well at Imola before they lengthened the middle of it. That was incredible.
Fantastic corners. Bit of an extended interview for you this evening because nobody else has turned up for interviews. If anybody is listening on the stream, get in the interview channel before we stop the stream. We love to interview you guys and get these little rivalries going on and things like that kind of thing. But we'll let you go and enjoy your victory. Get the champagne cork popped, get the bubble bath open, and have a good one. But yeah, Donington next week. What do you think your chances are of doing well there?
The aim for the first race has probably got to be podium again. Obviously, these reverse top 15 races can get a little bit interesting. So yeah, just try and maximise the points there. Really, just keep trying to do the best I can and pick up as many points as possible.
Yeah, not bad job done this time round though. But let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll move on to the next interview because James Mukian has turned up, and poor Kalashaw's heard my cry for help. But we'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of the evening, Alex. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
So, James Mukian into the broadcasting booth. Thank you ever so much for giving us the time here, James. A good result, P4 in your category, and you were maybe on for a win at some stage as well. How do you think that went overall?
Well, for the most part, I kept it on the island, so I'll take that. Alpha Racing provided me with a decent car, so shouldn't complain. I'll take any result, to be honest, at this track.
It is a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? How much practice did you have to get in order to get a result like that? Have you been at this all week, or has it just been
a fair bit? Yeah, we obviously I did the Monday practice, and when I first did a lap, which took me 10 times, I think, to get a lap in, it was 3 minutes something. So knocked about a minute off it in the end, and yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, not bad result in the end. Well, we were saying all throughout the stream as well that you're doing a good job at your nosebleed territory. You've not been up that end of the grid much this season, and that's the practice showing. I'm sure you've put in a lot of hours into this track. Is that something that you're looking forward to doing for next week for Donington? Get a load of hours in, get a good result.
I don't know if I want to commit that many hours. I sort of know the way around Donington. Not that I'll be very quick, but yeah, we'll give that one a go and see what. Hopefully the team boss turns out for that one, but we'll see.
And you didn't have your teammate Charles with you today. I believe Charles is your teammate in Arthur Racing. Any information on where he was today, or is it just
probably as it's in America, criminal activity was probably keeping him out of the States. But no, in all seriousness, he was probably down the boozer because it's got more than 5 turns, so he won't be able to do it.
Love to hear it. Yeah, love to hear the little tiffs that start between teammates. I imagine there's a healthy rivalry between you two.
Yeah, so I think first race at Brands Hatch, probably saw the stream. We traded a fair bit of paint, which is about how it normally goes, to be fair.
Yeah, there's always your main rival is always your teammate as well. But as long as you can all have fun with it at the end. So, but one question for you is how are you finding Evolution Sim Racing? I don't know if this is your first season here. I think this is Evolution Sim Racing's first season, as far as I'm aware. But are you enjoying the racing so far? Are you finding that it's nice and clean and fair?
Yeah, loving it, to be fair. I've not done any first time I've done any road leagues, to be honest. I've mainly been in trucks, hence why I don't mind trading a bit of paint. But no, it seems to be everyone's pretty welcoming. I like the fixed setup aspect as well, because I wouldn't know where to start if it was open. So yeah, all good.
Open setups tend to give a lot of advantages to the faster guys or guys who can figure out the setups, or the guys who pay to win and buy those VRS setups and things like that. So it's good to see there's just
I'm not spending any money.
Yeah. If you are ever in the market for some setups that you can get for free, I recommend Garage 61. It's also got a fantastic telemetry system as well if you want to take advantage of that, if depending on how committed you are to your racing.
To be fair, did that sort of helped me this week? To be fair, I went on there after Monday's practice and realised where I was dropping the gears all wrong, and that seemed to help tonight. So I'll have to go on there again next week.
Yeah, definitely. Watching, obviously, it's usually reserved for the pro drivers, isn't it? Doing the whole telemetry thing. But at a track that you know nothing about, this is one of the tracks that I know nothing about. I've raced here once. It again took me 10 laps, like it did you, just to get a single clean lap in, because that roller coaster corner is an absolute nightmare, as is the spiral as well. You think it's there, you think you've got all the grip in the world, and then all of a sudden it just all disappears from you at the drop of a hat. So you've done well to only have, I think it was only the 1 or 2 off tracks excursions today. You've done well to do that, and P4, good result in the end. Is it just a case of self-improvement that you're working on throughout this season, or is it you definitely want to kind of battle with somebody, beat Charles, or what's going on in your head when you're racing?
Yeah, you got to beat the boss, haven't you? You got to beat the teammate. So he claims he's the one. So you know, looks he's got a bit of an ego, should we say? So it's good to put him in his box occasionally.
Are you even a racing driver if you haven't got an ego? Let's put it that way.
Very fair. His might be a bit too big, but there you go.
Yeah, got to be able to fit the head in the car. That's the main thing, and the doorways aren't, you know, extendable in the Ferrari for sure. We'll let you go though, and we'll wrap this up if Biggles is listening, and move on with our lives, ready for next week, where I wish you the best of luck. I hope you get another good result like you did today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Love the stream. Cheers.
Thank you very much. So we'll wrap it up there then. It's been another fantastic week. It's a week of racing with lots of action and lots of punts, lots of work for the stewards to do once more. It's going to be the case for the remainder of the season, I imagine. I always thought at the beginning of this season there, Biggles, that with the penalty points system, where you get docked penalty points from your championship points for penalties, that may lead to a lot more cautious driving from people. But it seems that some people are just willing to spend their championship points on punting people. Obviously,
there's some risk without reward, or risks with rewards. I don't know. It's the case. But it is good wheel-to-wheel racing generally across the board there, because you got a if-gap car, as they say. Yeah. But sometimes it's not always the safest way. So yeah, absolutely. So we'll wrap it up, mate.
Yeah, we'll leave it there for this week. Another fantastic race at VIR, and it's given us exactly what we expected from Virginia. Absolute mayhem. We're looking forward to Donington, where things probably are going to be a little more subdued. Everybody knows the track a little bit better. They'll probably have more drivers there, and it's a lot more open to some racing at Donington. Much more places that you can make moves and get side by side. So I'm looking forward to that one immensely. I'll be back next time for Formula 3 this Sunday with James Parfitt Broadcasting. Until then, it's good night from me and good night from him.